So Michele is born and raised in Kingston, Ontario, but she currently lives in Hamilton, Ontario with her family. Mimi has been a cannabis consumer for 41 years. For the last 5 years, she considers that more medicinally in nature. Mimi Cannabis is her company, mimicannabis.com. It's a very awesome platform where she shares a lot of valuable and useful information about cannabis for the over 50 age group. A very important age group that's rising in cannabis use and might have a lot of questions about cannabis. So Mimi is there for them. And Mimi, I would love you to begin telling me a little bit from your own words about Mimi Cannabis and some of the things you've been doing under your own brand.
Well, I have been, trying to come up with an online platform, a safe place for people over 50 demographic to land. I think a lot of them are having a rough time. I started off medically, so I educated people that age a lot. And then when I saw recreational coming and seeing that so many things can't be discussed in the rec stores, there's a lot of confusion for people my demographic. So I like to consider myself maybe that little liaison that if someone does have questions that's just starting out, that can't get the answers due to regulations in the store, in the stores, which I totally understand. They can certainly, I wake up every morning to 2-3 questions that have come through on my website of just, I try to stay adverse at all the new recreational products so that I can help advise people my age on great things that work, oils that they're able to get access to without a prescription in the recreational stores, which ones I have found have worked for me. Yes, I do use my prescription ones as well, but I also use ones in the recreational store. I think that there's a lot of confusion for people my age. I think they would like to delve a little deeper, but they sometimes go into the stores and their hands feel a little tied because they can't really get the answers that they're looking for. So that's kind of where I come in. I'm allowed to speak as freely as I would like to about it. So that's where my voices come in. I have an online store. My merchandise is dubbed Green is the New Gray. Basically just to kind of, let people know that guess what, this demographic knows more about cannabis than anybody. But now that it's legal, we're older now, and you know what? It's different. What we smoked back in the 70s is, the genetics now and this and that. I mean, it's just endless. And I mean, for us seasoned cannabis users, it's such a treat. I mean, 41 years I've been using this wonderful plant, and I mean, some of the smells and trichomes and things that I see now that I never saw back then. I mean, it's just evolved to. It went from grass to cannabis, I remember saying this and saying, on Jackie's show, I remember my mom saying to me, what's grass doing in your purse? And it was grass. I mean, back then we didn't even call it weed. It wasn't even, weed wasn't even relevant then. It was grass, and it was green like the grass. It was nothing like what we see now. So to see the evolvement, and how much it's evolved and all these new, learning more about taking oils and cooking with cannabis and all of that stuff, for me to think back in the 70s that was ever going to happen, would have been a pipe dream, and to see totally. It's mind-blowing to me, mind-blowing. So yesterday, if I can't call myself a patient advocate, if someone came to me with a bottle of something and said to me, I need help with dosing, the first thing I am not going to ask them is, where did you get this, and what is this a legal product, or is this not a legal product? That's irrelevant to me. I if someone asks me for dosing, I'm going to help them. You know, Anne Marie said to me when I first met her in the summer, one of the things she said that was really cool was, the cannabis plant doesn't know that it's, whether it's legal or it's not. It doesn't. No. And I mean, and I think that we all have to kind of take a step back and breathe a little bit. You know, I have friends that work at the OCS, and I have friends that work in the legacy side of things, you know. That's just the way it is. But I find there's a lot of judgment, there's a lot of assumption, there's a lot of, you know, oh, you hang with this person, or you know what I'm saying? And when it was back before October 17th, as I like to call the Wild Wild West, because I was in Hamilton, and I can assure you that's exactly what it was. Everyone was, it didn't matter, legacy, legal, it didn't matter. And I mean, and I think that we've forgotten that, you know. I think that there has to be more compassion. There has to be, you know, I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that maybe, you know, legal market people see legacy market people making money, that maybe they're not, you know what I mean? I think there's a lot of animosity, and I think that, let's face it, we're all here for the same reason. It's for a plant. Whether, I mean, look at us right now. We can't even go to a legal store and buy some if we wanted to in Ontario.
That's right. That's
so
right.
I think we have to stop and breathe and stop judging and stop backbiting and you know, being catty. And I think we all have to come together. And I said this the night of the potluck, you know, do we want to go down in history as a bunch of women that couldn't get along? I don't know. I don't.
No.
I want to go down in history as a bunch of strong women that fucking kicked ass.
Yes.
Together.
You know,
and that love each other.
Together.
Right?
I think that it just gets to be, you know, it's exhausting, you know. So I think that hopefully, you know, sometimes maybe it takes a good pandemic to
well, there's always happens for a reason, right?
You know,
do you know what yeah, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it's everybody's just got to chill out. I mean, it's you know, I just find that there's a lot of judgment, and we need to really lay back on that.
You're right. So do you find that, so like, where do you, and Kelly, maybe you can chime in on this too, where do you find the cattiness comes from between women?
You know, I think that we need to just all work together. There's so much, there's so much for everybody. There's enough, there's more than enough for everybody. But if we all work together, it's going to be unbelievable.
Right?
Yeah, I you know, I think it's getting better. I think it was worse before the new year. I think the new year it's been a little bit better in the industry, and then this happened, which kind of sucks.
I don't know.
Everyone needs a voice.
Everybody needs a voice, and I think that was something that Kelly and I spoke about last week too. Was you know, I used to, as far as my business goes, I used to be like, oh, we're legal now. Now I can only work with legal companies. But you know what? Screw that. No, everybody needs a voice. And, you know, cannabis is legal, but our legacy market is stronger. So.
Well, and who are we to tell anyone where to get their cannabis from? Who are we to tell anyone where they feel the best way? Maybe they want to grow it. Maybe they just only want to grow their own pot. Maybe they want to get it from their dealer that they've been for 20 years. Maybe they want to get a medical prescription because that's the only thing they feel safe with. Who are we to tell anyone where to get their pot from? Just get it. If that's what you want, get your pot.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
you're right.
Like it's not rocket science. I think we, you know, like I said, when that line got drawn in the sand, I think that we made things a little bit more difficult than they had to be. I think they're, you know, I think that, you know, like I said, it doesn't matter. Like I said, I have friends on both sides, every side, all sides. I love everybody, you know, I love everyone the same. It's not about who's doing what. It's about that we're all here for the plant, you know?
Yep.
And
Absolutely.
you know, sometimes people just need to mind their own fucking business, you know?
Yeah.
You're right. You're right. You're right. You said it, Mimi.
Because, you know, I'm not completely pharma-free. You know, I'm over 55. The average 55-year-old is taking the average over 55-year-old is taking upwards to 5 pharmaceuticals a day. It would be irresponsible of me, for my demographic, for me to be touting pharma-free. So I do like to talk about the pharmaceuticals I have been able to eliminate out of my life and that have made my life a lot better. One being hormone replacement therapy, and I think it's a huge topic. And, you know, I think it's probably made the biggest difference in my life. As far as, you know, I think that there's a lot of women that at the minute they start going through menopause, they immediately think, oh my goodness, my hormones are depleting. I need hormone replacement. I think our bodies go through these things as women. We get our period at a certain age. We get menopause at a certain age. I'm not necessarily a big fan of fucking around with Mother Nature. Although I was one of those women that immediately said, you know what? Oh, I need HRT. I'm having hot flashes. Oh my goodness, I need to get a prescription for those. And I learned really quickly that that was not the answer. So I did take them for 1.5 years. After that, I was always using high THC because I've always used cannabis my entire life. That's when I started to get into more CBD with small increments of THC and oils and things like that. And that's when I knew I could control the symptoms of menopause much easier with oils and much less dangerously than taking hormone replacement therapy. So that is definitely one of my biggest things. Another thing is anti-inflammatories, you know, chronic pain. I worked in Ontario Cannabis Clinics for the last 5 years as a clinic director. 70% of the people I would see is arthritis, chronic pain, inflammation. Their stomachs can't take anti-inflammatories anymore. I mean, never mind opiates and benzodiazepines. You know, people can't take anti-inflammatories for long periods of time because it eats holes in their stomach. And, you know, it's just such a change to get people to have someone make the realization that THC and CBD are two of the most powerful anti-inflammatory natural ones that we have access to is mind-blowing. They're like, what do you mean? You know, and to see them make that realization, because anti-inflammatory meds are brutal. I mean, don't even get me going on opiates and benzos, you know, I mean, that's a whole other show, but I'm just saying in my last 5 years of experience, I've dealt with people with chronic pain, people with arthritis, women with menopause, the real everyday stuff. So yes, I have a lot of health issues. I have some neurological issues. I suffer from depression and anxiety. You know, my health is not perfect, but I can assure you it is a hell of a lot better with CBD and THC oil.
That's wonderful.
It's good to hear. I love hearing that.
It's made a huge difference in my life. You know, I have the most admiration for people who can be completely pharma-free. That's great. Unfortunately, I do still take 20 milligrams of an antidepressant, and I need that. And, you know, That's how I use it in conjunction with, and I think most people my age do use it in conjunction with, because not many people my age can be pharma-free.
So what's your favorite cannabis strain?
Oh, White Widow. I'm a hybrid indica dom girl. I love White Widow. Although I had some wonderful Harlequin, some
I love Harlequin.
some legacy.
Oh, I love Harlequin.
Some legacy market Harlequin last week that was pretty amazing. But yeah, I love White Widow. I use a lot of oil. Yes, I do still puff. Not as much as I use oil though. I use a lot of oil. I consume. I love the ready can products in the retail store. I am a Tilray patient, but I do love the ready can raindrops in the retail store. I think they're an awesome product. For 40 mils for $56.60. You can't go wrong, and they're a good oil. They've got a nice. Good digestible oil. They've got a 15-15 1-to-1, and they've got a 30-0 THC oil that's out of this world.
Who is your cannabis hero?
Who is my cannabis hero? You know, I'd have to say Ashley Brown, because you know what? She's so educated. She's so in it for the right reasons. I just adore her. And medical's always been my first baby. So I would have to say Ashley Brown.
That's
from
great.
She Can.
From She Can, yes. She's been a leader for a long
just
time,
because she inspires me, and I also know her whole story and what she's lived with, and I just think she's really, really something.
That's amazing.
I want to tell the story about when I met you. Can I do that?
Mm-hmm.
So Mimi and I had been flirting online. We had never met before. We had been sending messages back and forth. And then I went to an event, and you were there, and I saw you right away. And I felt you before I saw you. Before you hugged me, I felt your energy and your goodness and your love. And when you hugged me, it felt like, my mom has not been a very healthy woman for a long time, but it felt like the way my mom used to hug when she
I love that.
And that's how it felt.
That's why I'm suffering so bad right now. I can't hug anybody.
You can't hug anyone. I know that's hard for you. But what a point is that the love that comes from you, even before you speak to you or you touch you, you can feel your love. And that's your aura, and that's your energy. And so, and because of that, and because you are such a mother and a warm person, we have named one of our mother plants at our lounge here after you, Mimi Cannabis, because you inspire so many others, so many people in this world, in this industry, and we love you so very much, Mimi.
Well, thank you so much. I was so flattered when I found out that you named a plant after me. I mean, honestly, and that it's being used for education. I mean, that's like the best thing in the world, you know?
So when we get back, we'll be making little Mimi clones, and then people can clones to go home, and we'll make you a Mimi clone. We're getting ready to go again, so. Anyway.
You can find me at Mimi Cannabis on Instagram. You can find me on LinkedIn, Michele Parrotta, Parrotta. You can find me at www.mimicannabis.com or .ca, either or. You can contact me through my website, through my Instagram. Any questions, anything, just give me a shout.